What's your stock price prediction for 2030? And a lot of people,
It's
they
great.
love these stock price predictions. Curious to know what yours is. I think we talked about it in the chat, but I'll let
Yeah.
you take the floor on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my general idea is that we have a $200 stock that will be a $2,000 stock. It is clearly a stock. If most things go right, and I think they will, there'll be a lot of noise in the system, and there'll be some timeline deltas here too. And I want to talk a bit about that in a second. That's why I'm not giving you a time, because to me, that can be 2030 or 2035. But in either case, I'm reasonably happy. It is possible that the stock could be 20x where it is today. I mean,
Oh,
consider this. What is Nvidia today is, I don't know, give or take $100 a share. I don't know, maybe it's
yeah.
115. I think in November of 2022, it was like $13 a share.
Oh,
I forget the specific day, but that stock, this is 2022, right? We're only in 2025. I
it's
mean,
insane.
we're not that many years out from that. That stock is increased by an order of magnitude. And
Yeah.
if you look at, this is not to take away from Nvidia. I think it's an unbelievably great company, and I have an investment in Nvidia as well. But I'd say that it's a bit more of a one-trick pony in the sense that if you look at Tesla's product pipeline, you have energy, transportation, labor, really
Yes.
the three largest industries on planet Earth. And you also have them doing compute. So, I mean, they're building their own compute. So, NVIDIA is great, amazing company, terrific company, deserves all the growth it's seen, our stock appreciation and Graceland growth it's seen. It's a bit more of a narrow play in terms of all the future places that Tesla can participate in. So it's easy for me to see Tesla as 10x, and I can
Mhm.
run this back through math as well. I think that based on robotaxi alone, the stock is 10x where it is. That's not to,
I
and that
agree.
doesn't include Optimus, which is the part that I'm most interested in, and I think has the most value for Tesla ultimately. But yeah, so I don't know. Let's say 10x 2032 at the latest.
I can see that happening too. The bot, I mean, we'll do a bot video separately. We'll do another podcast just talking about the bot because really hurts my brain when I talk about it
Yeah.
and when I try to understand it. It's just like my thesis when I invested in Tesla, it was because of the robotaxi and FSD back in
Mhm.
2020 and seeing it actually come to life. It's a good feeling. It's a really, really good feeling. And
Right.
I agree with the fact that the stock can be worth 10x because of robotaxi alone. The last question I got for you, Phil. Can't believe it's
Yes.
already over an hour. It's insane. It doesn't feel like it honestly doesn't feel like it's been an hour. That's the crazy part. But for someone who knows software very well, like yourself, and they see what's coming and what's about to happen, what is your message to those investors who are thinking of selling Tesla stock right before robotaxi launch? I only ask this because some YouTubers, I don't want to name anyone,
Mhm.
and they're respectable YouTubers in the finance community, who recently owned a lot of stock, has sold his entire position because of failing fundamentals of autos and other things that really don't matter when we look at when we look at the future growth of Tesla.
Mhm.
And that creates a lot of, I would say, more uncertainty because this person is very credible. I respect the guy. I don't want to, put his name out, but it doesn't make sense to me to sell the stock right before robo taxis. But for someone like you who knows what's coming, who knows what's happening, who knows what the software is, and who is also a very heavy Tesla investor and is this calm, you're very calm. I love it. What's your message to those investors who are thinking of maybe selling the stock or maybe aren't confident? I know we talked about Elon and him being a big part of the noise and such. What's your
Well, I mean,
message to them? Yeah.
I think there's a couple things to say here. This would be like seeing the iPhone moment and discarding
Hmm.
Apple because you think they're a personal computer company.
Hmm.
It's Tesla is transitioning its business dramatically from auto to autonomy. I don't expect that. There's a good chance that Tesla will not sell autos to consumers in a number of years from now. The business will be too
Mm.
small. The
Oh
business
yeah.
will be too small, and frankly, it's a difficult business. It is a difficult business. There's a lot of physical components to it, and ultimately, it's lower margin than these other software style business. I mean, it's great to be in the software business. Microsoft prove that very well to the world, as opposed to, full hardware. It's great when you marry hardware to software like Apple did and saw, a huge win and a category killing product because of incredible integration. But I think, where we're at is we have a couple things going on. Is that most of the world thinks of Tesla as an automotive company. Fair,
Yeah.
fair. They don't, if you asked your average person something about Megapack and energy and what's going on, and
Mm.
they wouldn't even know that
Yep.
even exists or is part of Tesla. So Tesla to the world's an auto company for the most part. That's how Wall Street typically views Tesla today. But that would be like Wall Street looking at Apple and saying, well, I saw this new thing called iPhone, and maybe it'll get 2% of the sales or something. But so we have to keep looking at the personal computer side of the business. And great companies reinvent themselves. They put themselves out of business. It's
Yep.
really, really hard to do that. It would be hard for me to make any decision, no matter what's coming out of my mouth right now. If I was an executive, I think I'd have weaker knees and say, oh, we should exit the auto business or something like that. I mean, it'd be like, wow, we're making a lot of money here. Let's keep going.
Mm.
But there's a point when robotaxi revenues overwhelm the auto business by far. And then
Oh,
there'll
yeah.
be a point where Optimus overwhelms that business by far. So, I think that would be my message. The other point that is more subtle is that a lot of people criticize Elon, saying that he misses timelines. He misses,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
here's how I'd respond to that. I do not think in the core of Elon's being that he is trying to be deceptive. I think he is patterned after every awesome engineer I've ever met.
Mm.
They are perennial optimists. They want to see, I mean, in one level, they have a lot of pessimism. Anything they're going to functionally do might fail, so they're building a great solution. But in terms of the overall product, they have a lot of optimism. They see a path to something that doesn't exist. Elon is like that. He's walking ahead of us and he believes these things. I think that there's a difference between being optimistic and maybe missing, to elongating a timeline, than being deceptive or lying. And I do not think that Elon has any purposeful act of deception. I think he is just simply an optimist, believes in this very strongly,
Yep.
and pushes his teams to extreme limits, and nothing is good enough for the man.
Mm.
So, that means that I'm sure he felt that uh, all truth and goodness in FSD should have been there in version 12. And then reality hit, and they decided they needed a 13 to get that next step. And reality hits,
Yeah.
and to build the first unsupervised, they realize they need a version 14. And it looks like there's this ever elongating timeline. But the important point here is that at some point, these things converge. And when they do, all these, however you want to build motivation behind what Elon says, all disappears. It's like anybody that was trying to believe in his reusable rocket program with Falcon had all these things. Look where it is today. Look where it is today.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what is absolutely, with great degree of confidence for me, FSD is on the path to convergence. It is a solution. It will solve self-driving. It is pretty much there. And people can doubt that, and they can throw whatever shade at that as long as they want. But the problem with that analysis is that sometimes, and actually most of the time, these things eventually happen. And when they do, and you were sitting on the sidelines pissing and moaning about it, now you've missed out. And when you've missed out, now you can react one of two ways. You can either decide to recognize your own limits and join the party, or you can be a perma critic. And a lot of these people end up in that camp. They just sort of like they can't believe that they were wrong about their opinions of these things, and then they're always throwing lob balls in forever, and they'll never be right, but somehow that gives them some satisfaction, unfortunately.
That's exactly it. For me, if there's any, I don't know, for me, I cover Tesla literally on a daily basis. And I feel like I'm on a and a repeat, just saying the same thing over and over again. This is a long-term investment. This is something that you aren't putting in for the next week, for the next month, for the next year. You're putting it in for a long time. Now, if you timed it correctly and bought the stock in 2019, well, that's just luck. You came at the right time. But that's hard to, that's like maybe a 1% chance of doing. The best thing you can do is just hold long term and believe in the products. Like someone like Phil and I, we believe in the products. And someone like Phil, who has a lot of experience in software, can see it, he knows, and that gives me more confidence to buy more stock. Actually, so
I often have to say to myself, what are the facts that I know, and what do I see? I use this word often, convergence. Where do I see convergence? I don't have a crystal ball as to timelines. Things I think I've said to many people, I said, if I'm wrong, it's only based on time. And some people might say, well, that's a terrible thing from an investing point of view because opportunity cost, you could have been somewhere else. But I can't know when it's going to pop. And Tesla's a very volatile stock. And when it pops, it's going to go straight uphill.
crazy,
So, yeah. So I think that where we all can get this wrong is our optimism translates into compression of time, and we're ahead of the curve, and we're in earlier than we could be. And folks that are not paying attention can come in later and make money, good money too. And that will happen. And some will have that strategy. They'll say, I want to see it. They don't care if they get in at 500 when they think it's going to 5,000, because that's when they see that that FOMO moment has occurred, and that they're not so worried about being on the left side of it. They just want to be in the moment where they see it getting pulled. For me, I want to get in on before that moment occurs.
Yeah.
But I think if anything, what us Tesla optimists, retail investors, or bullish Tesla folks will get wrong is timing. But our timing probably, unless we're extremely optimistic, probably won't be more than a year out. So there are people out there saying that robotaxi won't be a big deal to 2040. They're insane, because the reality is either it will be a complete flop or it will be a complete success. The chance of it taking a linear glide path is completely wrong. It's either going to climb an S curve or it's never going to get on that curve to start with. Exactly. It won't be that straight line approach that you hear a lot.